everybody. My name is Qwaychelle Ferguson.
I'm Ashley Thomas.
Emmanuel Henry.
And we're group 6. This morning we're going to be discussing how social media influences learning and like how it affects things such as incorrect grammar, spelling, and formulating conversations. Now, who exactly knows what social media is?
Television, television, radio, anything that's being streamed out.
And social media also fall into things such as websites and applications that are used for social networking. Things such as like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, even MySpace, even though that's been dead for some years now. And a poll taken on November 11, 2012 by a company called Macworld showed that more than 56% of people admit to using social networking websites. And what people don't realize is that what you put on these websites, even though you might have it as blocked or private, can affect your future and does matter, because 53% of employers research potential job candidates, and many of them found that they have lied on applications about what they're qualified to do, or they have found like photos or comments that turn them off from wanting to hire specific people. So something you might put on a website, let's say when you're 15, 14, can affect you when you're 25 plus from getting that career that you've been wanting since you were 15, 14. And you'll wonder why, and they'll say, oh, well, we checked your MySpace from when you were 13, and on then we saw what you were doing, and they'll feel as if that doesn't represent something they want for their company.
So, I was kind of in the middle with our topic being the social media affect your learning and the effects of learning. As she stated, how she did all the bad things, you know, how it's not helpful, or stuff that you did in the past may not be approved for a future job and whatnot. But I looked up an article where it was a junior high school. The junior high school is somewhere in California, and actually these students use social media like every day, like everything, kind of sort of what we do here. Because I feel as though social media is also like here, Blackboard and your email and everything else we have to use here for school. So social media can also as well be good, because just like I've recently found out that our meal plan, like what we're having for lunch, will be on Twitter. Like, or anybody follow the cab, and then tell you like what we eating today. So I feel like a little bit social media it's improving our learning. It's growing, as we would say. Like with education and everything else around us is growing. Our learning is growing with social media. It's improving.
I think social media, when it comes to like homework and stuff, a lot of students tend to rely on it. And like you don't really learn nothing, because you just like look at the answer and copy and paste, but you don't really learn the material. And a lot of students that use, like, they multitask with Twitter, Facebook, and all that. There was a study that showed that their test scores was low because they're not paying no attention to their schoolwork. They put more time on social networking and stuff like that. So,
I agree that at some point social media can be helpful, but with the everyday daily use, everybody doesn't necessarily go on there. It's just a matter of the person and their purpose for going to social media. Everybody doesn't go on there specifically, oh, I'm going to look up such and such information. Most people just go on there to see what other people are doing, talk to their friends and stuff. And when it comes to that, another fact about our topic was the social media affecting spelling. I'm pretty sure many of us, every day we go on whatever social media website we use, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, whatever, we see all types of incorrect spelling, grammar, misuse of grammar, And like things like that, it's starting to flow over into our schoolwork. Because I've talked to many professors, I've heard many of my professors say that when grading an essay, they've seen someone using, let's say, text lingo like LOL or using incorrect grammar in their paper, and that can come from being used to using language such as that on social networks every day, day to day, that once you get to go to do a paper, it kind of slips your mind that, oh, I need to switch from the text lingo to correct grammar, proper language, and things of that nature. Once I go to write my paper, there was some statistics I looked up and found that there was a paper released by the English Spelling Society, which is an organization focused on traditional spelling, and they surveyed a group of 18 to 24-year-olds and found that a majority of them believe that unconventional spellings are used because it's faster and it's becoming the norm. So we're getting used to this being normal, which it shouldn't be normal, not every day, day to day. It's okay when you're just hanging out with your friends to use that kind of language, but when you come to like a professor or someone, a professional statue, it shouldn't be that thing. It shouldn't be like that. And more than 1 in 5, which is 22%, said that they would not be confident in writing an important email without referring to a dictionary or a spell checker. Which by the time you get to the college level, I mean, yes, for some words you will have to refer to like the dictionary or source or whatever, but you should feel comfortable with having to go ahead and writing that email to your professor or to dean, or for whatever reason that you have to write the email. It shouldn't be as if you're like, oh, wait, let me double check this email right quick. Of course you should proofread your email, but it shouldn't be every other word you have to go check the source or check the dictionary to make sure that you're spelling it right. It's like we're becoming so used to this chillax attitude, this chillax way of using our words and grammar that is affecting things that will help us in the long run professionally.
What about conversation?
Like the more time students spend on social networks, they tend to not socialize in person. So they social skills, like talking to people, they don't have that skill. So the more time they spend on social networks, like just posting stuff, they can't really do all that in person. So that's when it comes to conversation with somebody one-on-one, they don't have the skills for that.
I see it like this. How many of us in here have Twitter? Okay, very few. But of those few who do have Twitter, you know how during the summer, everybody was all excited about coming to Central. It was like NCCU 16 and everything. Everybody was having conversations with each other on Twitter. But I feel like once we got here, once you saw that person you were behind the computer talking to, no one really talked face to face.
Yeah.
Like we got here and you would look, you'd be like, oh, that's such and such, and refer to them by their Twitter name instead of actually going to figure out their real name and talking to them. And I feel like that's not how it should be. Like we're on this campus together every day. Excuse me. We're on this campus together every day, and we should be able to walk up to each other, talk to each other face to face as we would talk to each other behind the computer screen on Twitter. And like we don't do that. Like social networking is making it easier to have conversations with people behind the computer screen, but it's making it harder for us to have conversations with people face to face because we're so used to being able to just, oh, let me open this chat right quick, talk to them, and end it. But we won't go to them face to face because, like, oh, I'll just talk to them on Twitter or Facebook later. And it shouldn't be that way.
I agree with you on that because during Welcome Week when they had that Twitter social, it was like very few people that went, like people came and showed up, and I guess like once they saw the person that they wanted to talk to, after that they left, because I know I was one of them, like once I, pretty much got to see, the people I needed to see, I just left after that because it was like, I just talk, we talk more, you have more conversation on a social network than you do in person because it probably be kind of awkward, I guess, because you talk to that person so long over the computer, and the fact that you're seeing them now is like, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Cause I was also at that Twitter social they had at the beginning of the school year during the week of welcome. And they have the Twitter social, but we're all sitting here right next to each other. So why are we tweeting each other, but we're sitting here looking at each other? So I'm looking at you across the room, and I'm like, oh, that's such and such right there. Let me tweet them. That doesn't make sense.
So, what should we do about it? y'all disagree. Except me, I don't disagree. I'm always on the other side. Any solutions?
I actually know. For some people, well, say for instance, say if you're the type of person who's very shy and just not a people person, maybe a social network can help build you. Maybe that can be something that kind of helps spark an interest in you being able to talk and communicate with others. Not for everyone. It can help for others. So it could be a solution for some and hurtful and crushful.
Maybe you said so much on the social media, you ain't got nothing else to say. Like, you need to talk so much on Twitter. Girl, I don't need to talk to you.
I agree with that. It's helping those that are shy. But I think after a certain point, once you get accustomed to that person, you should be able to take it off the social network and go have a conversation with them face to face.
Maybe they just didn't tweet enough.
Maybe. Does anybody else have any other questions or comments?
What about the high school? I want to know what you.
The junior high school?
Yeah.
Basically, they was just saying that, where you go, social media and education. Basically, they was just saying, like, I guess in this junior high school, they used it, like, frequently. Like, everything they did, homework, kind of like here. You know, like, we don't get our homework in our hand or nothing. Like, you got to go check the blackboard. Basically, that's what they did. Like, everything they used, it was social media, like, teachers and stuff. Have y'all seen, like, on Facebook, it's a little, on the side, because I actually looked. On the side, it's like homework, group study, and it's something else. And it's like all layered. And they had like group projects where if they had to ask this classmate something, all they had to do was get on Facebook and like log in and ask them. It's all on the side. Like if you ever pay attention to Facebook, but you gotta get on it. You gotta get on the computer. You can't get on your phone. You gotta get on the computer.
My friend of mine used it back home. Well, she's in high school.
Yeah, and you add, and like they add each other. Yeah, it's like, it's a lot of stuff. Like, it's like homework, study, it's a lot of stuff that they just list. And basically that's all they use. Like, the teacher could log in, and if they had questions or whatever, like, it was just like they were there 24 hours. Like, they was just there. Like, I don't know. It was in California. That was the only article I had looked up.
Did anybody research the effect of the social media and multitasking? Was there any research besides?
Yeah, I said that. I said that.
She said
I was like, I said it earlier about when they multitasking on like different social networks, they tend not to like pay attention to what school.
What is that like based on? I thought that. I mean, do you have the percentage?
No, I just have a right?
Even like without researching that, I can like say for myself, I've been trying to multitask, have one page open with like typing a paper and one page open with Twitter. That paper will sit there till about 12 a.m. and then I realize what time it is. I'm like, oh, let me close this out and go to my paper. Like, you can't really concentrate. The human mind is only built to handle but so much when concentrating. And if you're sitting here, oh, I'm reading Twitter, and then you try to go type a paper, it's been plenty of times where I probably typed on my paper what I read on Twitter, just because I felt as if I was multitasking, and then like I'll turn that paper in, and I'll get my score back, and it's like not my best, because, and then I'll realize it's because I was focused more on that social network than I was on that paper.
So what are solutions? What I say.
I mean, you can't, not everybody's necessarily gonna focus more, like I said before, it depends on the person.
Yeah, I think it depends on the individual.
It depends on the individual person and like their self-control. If they can control themselves enough to stay off the social media, social networks until they get their work done, that's good. If not, if it's a different person, they need to like work more on their study habits more than their social habits. And like with all this being said, we're not telling you not to use social networks, because as my group member actually stated, social networks are helpful. Like we use them day to day to do our work. It's just a matter of being able to differentiate the times where you should be using it and the times where you shouldn't be using it, and focusing more on your work.
I think there needs to be a guide or a way to show you to how to separate the two.
I think there is.
Because I believe it's the person and their intellect. Because you're smarter if you're able to do Twitter, your paper, and Facebook, and listen to Pandora all at once. You type. But then you have the other person who just can't do that. They need to step their game up. They gotta do better.
All right, thank you.